unbelievable. And then he does it again, and the second arrow splits the first one completely in half. It shows his breathing was shallow or his ego was impatient. To most of us, that audio clip sounds completely backwards. How can perfectly splitting an arrow be a failure? We are conditioned to measure success entirely by physical outcomes. We assume that victory means imposing our will on the world, forcing the arrow into the bullseye, securing a knockout, or out-muscling an opponent. When German philosopher Eugen Herrigel traveled to Japan in the 1920s, he carried that exact mindset. He wanted to study Kyudo, traditional Japanese archery. His new master introduced a premise that frustrated him for years. Caring about hitting the target is the exact thing that guarantees you will miss it. When you obsess over a specific result, you create a desperate desire to win. That desire immediately breeds a fear of losing. The moment fear enters the mind, it floods the body, creating muscular tension and erratic breathing. By fixating on an external piece of paper across the room, the archer actively sabotages the internal physical mechanics required to actually put the arrow there. Under this philosophy, physical errors are simply diagnostic data. An arrow dropping low or a missed strike reveals that the mind was cluttered, the ego rushed the movement, or the practitioner cared too much about the opinions of those watching. You see the exact same principle in high-stakes combat. If a professional boxer consciously thinks about their next combination, if they pause to tell their body to duck and then throw a jab, they lose their natural rhythm. They take a hit. To prove that visual calculation is completely irrelevant to perfect execution, Herrigel's master took him into a pitch-black training hall. Standing in the dark, the master fired 2 arrows. The first hit the dead center of the unseen target. The second cleanly split the shaft of the first. He didn't need to see the board because the external world wasn't his focus. The opponent in the ring or the target on the wall is an illusion. The true target is the self. Erasing the ego to achieve this state requires a literal biomechanical tool. In Japanese martial arts, it is known as kokyu, a specific method of continuous cyclical breathing. Late Aikido master Watanabe Nobuyuki built his entire practice around this concept. He used kokyu to control space and effortlessly unbalance opponents without relying on physical force. Watanabe observed that under stress, a fighter's reflex is to hold their breath. He called this the iron ball state. The muscles lock up, movements become rigid, and the body becomes highly vulnerable to incoming force. This animation highlights the physical difference between those two states. On the left is the tense, static iron ball holding its breath. On the right, continuous circular breathing, inhaling and exhaling in full circles, turns the body into a fluid, adaptable gold ball. This continuous breath acts like a physical magnet. An incoming attacker is naturally drawn off balance toward the expanding inhale, allowing their momentum to be redirected without forced violence. Controlling the diaphragm is the exact bridge that moves a practitioner out of conscious panic and into an unconscious, effortless flow. When outsiders watch a master effortlessly throw students around a mat with barely a touch, it is easy to assume they are watching theatrical compliance or group hypnosis. One logically driven student, after 7 years of training, decided to test this skepticism. He stepped out of the lineup and walked directly up to Master Watanabe. The moment he moved into range, his body reacted on pure survival instinct. Before any contact was made, the student instantly felt the master's precise intent, a glaring gap in his own defense, where a sword or staff would have cleanly struck him. He was forced to twist and alter his angle just to stay safe. But as he stopped trying to mathematically calculate the master's movements, a strange perceptual shift occurred. Time appeared to elongate. He had entered mushin, the state of no mind. The ego vanished, the fear of judgment disappeared, and surviving the interaction was no longer a panicked struggle. It became a natural, joyful physical reaction. The boxer slipping a jab in the ring, the archer releasing a bowstring in the pitch black, and the Aikido student stepping off the center line all rely on this exact same internal operating system. You cannot overpower the chaos of the outside world. True victory in any high-pressure situation comes from conquering your own mind, allowing the perfect shot to arrive as a natural, effortless side effect.